Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I am talking about what am I talking about? How to create a personal development plan. Oh my god, I just had a complete mind blank. Ugh. So this is part of a series that's on my blog about a beginner's guide to personal development. So if you are wanting to get into personal development, I know that it can be pretty overwhelming because there's so many people talking about it and so many different kinds of activities you can do. And also there's the dilemma of how do you make sure you're actually applying everything, because it is so easy to just watch videos like this and get really inspired and then do nothing. So I'm going to talk today about how to create a personal development plan. There's also a blog post on my blog called A Beginner's Guide to Personal Development. I will link it in the description box below, as well as a podcast episode that also relates to this on how personal development has helped me overcome self-doubt. It's just a really chatty episode about the personal breakthroughs that I've had on my personal development journey, and I'm sharing it that way just so that like when you're listening to me talk about my experience, hopefully you'll have a few light bulb moments yourself. So today what I'm going to be sharing is really simple, and I haven't been able to find any really great guides on this online or on YouTube that aren't like super complicated and very vague. So this is what I would actually do if I was creating, like if I was just getting started on my own personal development journey. I got into it about maybe 5 or 6 years ago. I talk about that more in the podcast episode if you're interested in hearing how that all came about. But this is what I would do. So the very first thing I would do is I would choose one area of my life or one particular behavior that I would focus on improving. So for me, when I've been on my own personal development journey, it's really been about the all or nothing mentality and perfectionism, because when I started my blog, this is why like starting a blog or a YouTube channel or a podcast or anything like that is so good for personal development. All your shit comes up. All of your shit will come up if you start something where you're out there in the world and saying like, hey, listen to me, I have something important to say. So I was super scared and I hid my blog from everyone. I had so much shame around it, and so I was after that trying to figure out how to stop that kind of behavior, how to actually be vulnerable, how to do things when they're not perfect, because yeah, it's really hard to do things perfectly, and when I was doing that I would do nothing. But that was the focus for me. So you can choose something like that, or like self-doubt, self-love. You can choose health, fitness, relationships, anything like that. But I think it's really important to have one specific thing you're trying to improve, because how you do one thing is how you do everything. So if you're acting a certain way in your, say in your health, with your health, then you're going to be doing a similar thing most likely when it comes to relationships and when it comes to your career, because yeah, how we do one thing is how we do everything. So if you can choose that topic, that will help you with the next step 2, which is to choose a teacher. And this is really just to help you constrain your focus and have one person that you're following their advice. It doesn't have to be forever, just at least a month. I would say a month to 90 days of focusing on one person's advice. So you can follow someone like me. I have a blog and a YouTube channel and a podcast and an Instagram account where I share lots of things that you can do. But there's heaps of other people too on YouTube. I love Lavender. I also love Tony Robbins and Oprah and people like that. I've included a whole list of recommendations, YouTubers, bloggers, all of that kind of thing in the blog post that I did on A Beginner's Guide to Personal Development, which will be linked below. So if you don't know who to have as your teacher, check out that blog post and hopefully you'll find someone that you relate to. So the key with this is to have someone that you really can relate to and the way they describe things makes sense to you. So for me, the person that I follow the most closely is Brooke Castillo from the Life Coach School podcast, who you guys know I talk about her like 24/7, but for me she's really the person that explains things in a way that just really makes sense to me. So whenever I'm trying to learn something, I look to her to see if she has any advice on it. And I also enrolled in her online program called Self-Coaching Scholars because she's just like my favorite teacher. So that is step 2, to choose a teacher. And so again, this is just for 1 month to 90 days. You can follow other people and all of that, but just to have one person that you're actually consuming their advice and then applying it. So step 3 is to think about and then choose how much time per day. And I do recommend trying to get into a daily habit. That doesn't mean you need to do it every single day, but if you aim for daily, you'll at least do it a few times a week, unless you're like struggling with all or nothing like I used to. And I'll link below a video that will help you with how to stop being all or nothing. But I'm thinking about how much time you want to spend each day. If you're getting into this, I recommend nothing more than half an hour. You can tell you have the all or nothing mentality if you're going to want to spend more than 1 hour, because that's like, oh, I have to just get fully into it. But half an hour is plenty of time, especially when you're doing that daily. So if you have half an hour, and this is step 4, to really make sure that you're applying everything that you're learning, or everything that really resonates with you. You don't want to, like, you won't have time to apply every single thing that you learn. But I'll link below a blog post about how I get the most out of self-help books and how I apply them, which can be applied to like self-help books, obviously, YouTube videos, podcasts, all of that kind of thing. So if you have half an hour a day that you're going to spend, either spend 15 minutes consuming, so watching a video, listening to a podcast, reading a blog, and then 15 minutes applying. So that might be having a conversation with someone, or like something you need to do physically, or that could just be journaling. For me, most of the time it's journaling. I really recommend getting pen to paper, because like the ideas you will have when you're actually writing it down will be so much better than when you're thinking about it. Even though you might think you're pretty good at thinking through a problem, definitely write it down, because it forces you to articulate it. So yeah, step 4 is to make sure you're applying it. And if you don't want to do like half and half every day, you can do like 30 minutes of consuming one day and 30 minutes of applying the next day. But it's really important to have at least 50-50, because as I was saying before, it's so easy with this kind of thing to get really inspired, and it feels so productive to be reading and watching and listening. And you will incidentally like apply a few of those things, and you probably will get results from a few of those things. But if you can really create a habit, like to me, I didn't even realize how amazing books were, and I've always loved books, but until I actually started applying them. And make sure to check out the blog post for how to do it, because like books are amazing. So when I said to have one teacher as well, they will have exercises in their books, in their podcast episodes or whatever. They'll make recommendations on activities to do those activities. Like you might watch YouTube videos about, oh, here's a different exercise you can do, here's how to do this and that and this. But if you're just watching it and feeling inspired and then never giving it a try, you will not get the results. So it is really, 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 really important that you apply it. And so a couple of things I want to add as well is that, at least for me personally, I don't know what other people have as their experience of personal development, but day to day, I feel like I'm making absolutely no progress. Like day to day, I can't feel any difference. And it can be challenging, especially if you're getting into it, if you're having this expectation that your life is going to change overnight. This is a lifelong thing, and it's only like looking back 1 year and then looking back 5 years that I can see the huge developments I've been able to make personally. But day to day, I feel pretty similar, because I'm just having that really gradual daily change. You don't really notice it until you look back and you're like, oh my god. So kind of like it's similar with like exercise, though you can see more physical results obviously with that. But when you look back on a photo a year ago, you can really like see differences. But when you look at a photo of yourself a week ago, it's like, you can't, you know what I'm saying? So I just want to say to not have the expectation that you're going to have like massive breakthroughs, though you might, but to not have any immediately, and that you're not really going to feel day-to-day progression. And so I feel like for me, my journey's been like this, and then I have a breakthrough, and then this, and then I have a breakthrough. But this can be like a couple of years. I'm not trying to say this to dishearten you, but I just think that it is a slow process and there's a lot to figure out. So I have created a free workbook that you can download that has 20 journaling prompts that will help you, especially if you're just getting started, that will help you sort of see where is best to start for you and kind of start to uncover those beliefs and learn a lot more about yourself, because personal development really is about self-awareness. And so I've put together 20 questions that I really feel like get to a lot of really important things. They're not very easy to answer. They're simple questions, but for me at least, they take a bit of thinking to really come up with an answer. So definitely download that and fill out that workbook. I'll link it below as well. And also there's a podcast episode. So all of this YouTube video, podcast episode, workbook, and blog posts are all part of a beginner's guide to personal development. So make sure you check out the rest of the content that I've got for you. And I've been creating content like this. Well, this is the first week, but going forward, it'll be like this every week. Everything will be released at the same time on a Monday morning, Australia time. So if you're in the US, it'll be Sunday. And it's just so like, I'll give you everything. Like, I was just sick of creating content that wasn't detailed enough to be able to be applied. Like, it was just kind of way more fluffy than I wanted it to be. I love long, in-depth content that actually tells me what to do. So that's what I'm creating now. So this is the first week, but every week, everything will go live at the same time on Monday morning. And then there'll be a whole week to apply it, as well as a discussion about it in the Smart 20s community on Facebook. So if you're not in there, make sure you join me, because you can ask me any questions you have about how to create your own personal development, personal development plan. If you want to know like what teachers that you should be following or teacher, and if you're just a bit confused about where to start. But just to kind of recap what I've shared, so pick one area of your life that you want to improve, or one behavior. For me, like self-sabotage is still my biggest focus that I am working on improving, aka stopping that behavior. So pick one area and then choose a teacher that will help you improve that area. And a lot of personal development teachers cover lots of different areas. That's totally okay. But if you know like, oh, self-love is something that I really want to work on, then there are certain teachers who really focus on that stuff. If you want to focus on career, then there are people who talk about that a lot. So it really helps you choose a teacher. And then decide how long you want to have every day. I recommend nothing more than 30 minutes, because it's a new habit and you just need to ease into it. If you get into it, you can always put more time on top of that, but say 30 minutes, even 15 minutes is enough. And then making sure that you spend half your time applying and half your time consuming, except the other way around. Consume, then apply, and then consume, then apply. So it's so, the application is the most important bit. Like, I love being inspired, but until I started applying, I did not start having breakthroughs. And when I say breakthrough, I basically just mean like you get an insight into yourself or into your life that had been in a blind spot until that moment, so you'd never even realized it was the case. And then you see it, and then you can change without needing any willpower. You just like, once you have an awareness about something, sometimes it's like that, and you can just completely change the way you look at something. That's definitely what happened to me with self-doubt. Like, it was like in an instant when I saw something I hadn't seen before, and I'm not going to go into it now because The podcast episode's all about that. It's 40 minutes long. So if you're driving somewhere, or you know, you're doing your laundry or whatever, make sure you go to the description box and download the episode and have a listen, because I really go into like really personal detail about the breakthroughs that I had, and yeah, all the different stories I had about my childhood and all of that fun stuff. So yeah, so that's what I wanted to share with you today. I hope you found it really helpful. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments below, or you can send me an email. I'll leave my email below as well, but I'd love for you to have it. Oh, I can't speak. Oh my god. This is also, by the way, the third time I'm filming this, because the first 2 times my camera died. The battery died about halfway through, and I love just doing these in one take. So I've been like sitting just waiting for the battery to charge. So I'm so glad it hasn't died this time. But anyway, I'm finding it hard to find my words. Also, it is just so good doing one of these sit down videos. I do a daily vlog. If you haven't watched them, 365 days of personal growth. But I haven't done one like since before we were in this house, and that was 5 months ago that we bought this house. So it's fun, and I'm going to be doing more like this. But now I can't even, guys, I can't even remember what I was saying. But I hope this has been helpful, and I will be doing lots more videos like this. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please make sure you do that, and there's a notification bell as well, so you can make sure that you get my videos when they come out. And yeah, that's all I'm gonna share with you today. I will talk to you next time. Bye.